What's up, people? Welcome back to Motion Cap. We will be watching the recap of the movie Bad Sister. Enjoy the video.
Wow, it is so hot out here. Whew.
The story starts with Jason recording a YouTube video and playing a song that he wrote. Their parents drop off Jason and his sister Zoe with a firm warning to not cause any trouble at school. Sister Rebecca greets their parents and assures them that they look out for Jason. In an office, at the same school, the scene shifts to a sister who is watching Jason and his family from a distance. Her attention shifts when the door opens to reveal Sister Rebecca, who briefs her on the school rules and regulations and asks her to remove her makeup. Sister Rebecca takes Sister Sophia for a tour around the campus when they bump into Jason, and we see that Sister Sophia immediately becomes infatuated with him. She shows concern when Sister Rebecca tells her that Jason has been having a hard time keeping up his grades, and even got in trouble last summer. But later we see that she was actually obsessed with Jason way before she saw him at the school. She lays in her room watching Jason's YouTube videos while kissing the scene. She even sneaks into the boys' dorm to watch him practice, where they have their first conversation. She compliments his music and asks him to find her if the next day in the classroom, Jason gets approached by a classmate named Sarah who kept making advances at him. That didn't sit well with Sister Sophia. She gets very jealous to see them talking and calls Sarah out for putting lipstick. She also changes her seat to the front of the class, away from Jason. On the other hand, Jason's sister Zoe finds it weird how Sister Sophia didn't sing along the morning prayers. She also warns her brother not to get involved with a girl like Sarah. He snaps at her for nagging him like their dad and leaves. Outside he runs into Sister Sophia, who makes amends with him. Jason is weirded out when she inquires if Sarah is his girlfriend and assures her that he is single. But the next day, Sister Sophia catches Sarah and Jason kissing and yells at them. She orders Jason to go to his class and warns Sarah again to stay away from Jason. Jealous and angry at seeing Jason close with another girl, she clenches around her cross, drawing blood as she watches Sarah go. Sophia asks Jason to come to her chambers after school is over. Jason refuses at first, saying students weren't allowed in the teacher's room, but Sophia assures him that it will be fine because he was invited. Sophia had planned to seduce him, so when he goes to see her after school he finds the door of her room already open and she was inside with bare minimum clothing. He immediately leaves, and Sophia is satisfied to see her plan working. That night, Jason couldn't sleep because kept dreaming about Sophia and is very jumpy when Sophia confronts him about not coming to her room the other day. But because it's the weekend, Zoe and Jason get picked up by their parents. Sophia watches as Sarah tells Jason to call her over the weekend and immediately comes with an excuse to follow him. She stalks him outside his house and only leaves after hearing Jason tell Sarah that they can't meet over the weekend. She still feels threatened by Sarah and plans to get rid of her. To execute her plan, she sneaks into Zoe and Sarah's room during night patrol and puts drugs into Sarah's history book. But Zoe wakes up and sees her outside their room. From there on, she becomes suspicious of Sophia. The next day, Sophia tells the class to open page 35, and when Sarah does, she immediately catches her with the drug she had hidden the other night. Sarah is suspended and sent back home, and the whole school is searched. Then, to make Jason even more vulnerable, she plants a wine bottle in his room, and when he tries to explain that this wasn't his, nobody believes him. When the authorities were about to call his parents, Sister Sophia defended him and convinced them to give him a second chance. This is when Sophia gets a flashback where we see how she was a fan of Jason's music, causing her to grow obsessed with him. And when she knew about Sister Sophia being transferred to his school, she attacked the real Sister Sophia and killed her so she could take her place and meet Jason. As punishment for possessing alcohol, Jason had to stay behind on the weekend and help with the gardening. He asks Zoe to cover for him and tells her to call Sister Sophia if their parents want to talk to a teacher. Zoe, who is still suspicious of Sister Sophia's motive, decides to stay behind to keep an eye on her. They are all gardening when Sister Sophia approaches Jason and helps him, then saying that it's too hot she slips open two of her blouse buttons. Jason's attention immediately shifts, and Zoe watches in disbelief in the background. The same night, Sophia takes her chances and goes to Jason's room. She sets up her phone on record and then proceeds to seduce Jason into having sex with her. Jason refuses at first but is quickly convinced. The next day, Jason sits in his room feeling guilty after having committed a sin. He is also nervous about facing Sophia, but Sophia is too concerned and just reminds him to keep it a secret. On the other hand, Zoe catches Sophia in Jason's room and tells him about it. Seeing that Zoe was becoming a problem, Sophia decided to do something about it. She failed Zoe in her history exam and then gave her a chance to take the test again after class. She then kept an answer sheet to the exam on her desk and left the room. When Zoe arrived later, she found the room empty and the answer paper on the desk. Unable to resist, she took the paper and started reading. Just then, Sophia came into the room and busted her. She took her to Sister Rebecca and insisted on a suspension, but because was a good student, Sister Rebecca let her off with a warning. Unable to hold the secret anymore, Jason goes to the confession box to confess his sins, but to his surprise, the person opposite to him was none other than Sophia, who doesn't care if they are at a church and seduces Jason again. It's the next weekend, Jason and Zoe are going back home again. Sophia was about to follow them when she suddenly hears a bishop says that he knew Sister Sophia. Sister Rebecca asks the bishop to meet Sister Sophia before he leaves, but Sophia made her escape by pretending that her aunt was sick again. In the next scene, we see that Jason gets into a fight with his family again and decides to sneak out to Sarah's house where she was hosting a party. Sophia, who was sitting in her car outside Jason's house, follows him. At the party, Jason kisses Sarah but breaks it off when he kept thinking about Sophia. He was leaving the party with a beer in his hand, when gets stopped by the cops. Sophia comes to his rescue again and convinces the police to let him go. She then brings him back to her hotel, where Jason accuses her of following him around. She dismisses the question saying she knew he would need her help. Finally, Jason tells her that what happened between them was a mistake that would never happen again. She tries very hard to convince him to stay with her, by offering him all her money and trips to Paris. Nothing works and Jason leaves, causing Sophia to throw a fit. On the other hand, Zoe informs Jason that their dad is looking for him. When he finds Jason, they make amends and return home. Sophia is still parked outside Jason's home, looking disheveled. She sees Jason with his family and leaves immediately, but Zoe sees her. Back at school, Zoe notes Sophia's license number and searches for the owner, and what she finds shocks her. Jason is busy ignoring Sophia throughout the day, but when returns to his room, he finds Sophia on his bed with a bunch of pills beside her. Thinking the worst, he desperately tries to wake her, but it turns out it was just Sophia's plan to see if he'd try to save her. Jason threatens to report her to the authority, but Sophia warns him that his reputation would down with her too. The scene shows a smug Sarah returning to the class, and while Sophia tries to protest, Sister Rebecca tells it's the board's decision and that there is nothing she can do. Frustrated by this, she warns Jason to stay away from Sarah, but he doesn't listen to her and even suggests to Sarah that they should try seeing each other again. Later that night, Sophia throws a rage fit around her room and she suddenly gets an idea. She goes to the girls' dormitory shower, she sneaks behind Sarah and repeatedly bangs her head on the wall, killing her. At Sarah's memorial, Jason pulls Sophia aside to ask him if she had anything to do with it. She pretends to be offended and instead shows him a clip of them having sex. She threatens to tell everyone if he isn't nice to her, and Jason has no choice but to listen to her. On the weekend, Jason and Zoe leave for their parents' house again and Sophia follows them. The same evening, she pretends to be dining alone in the same dinner Jason's family were dining in. Jason's father invites her to join them, which was her plan all along. She continues to make Jason uncomfortable by touching him under the table and threatening him with her phone. On the other hand, Sister Rebecca had called the hospital where Sophia's aunt was supposedly admitted. There, she finds out that there was no such patient and no Sister Sophia visiting the hospital. Zoe had finally had enough and forced her brother to tell her what's going on. Jason finally opens up and tells her everything. Zoe tells Jason how she thinks that the woman is actually not Sister Sophia. She insists they tell someone, but Jason suggests they gather more proof first. Back at the school, Sister Rebecca confronts Sister Sophia about her lie causing Sophia to attack her. Jason and Zoe sneak into Sophia's room, and on her computer, they find hundreds of pictures of Jason. And when Zoe opens her email, a name Laura Patterson pops up confirming their suspicion that Sister Sophia was a fake. They immediately go to report this to Sister Rebecca, but Sophia had locked the room from inside. Not getting an answer, they decide to check the church. There they are faced by Sophia, who attacks Zoe and knocks her unconscious. She then attacks Jason and tells him she is sick of people trying to keep them apart, that she got rid of Sarah and now she would get rid of Zoe. She raises her hand to strike Zoe again, but someone attacks her from the back. The big twist shows that the real Sister Sophia was alive. She and Laura fight, and it looked like Laura was winning until Jason stabs Laura in the back, killing her. The final scene shows real Sister Sophia happily watching the graduates go, and Jason getting a guitar from his father, who is finally supportive of his dream to become a musician. The end. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and see you in the next one.